Hello and welcome to the Best Kids Chakra Session Ever Masterclass. I am excited to share this with you today. This is something I've been studying and incorporating in my own life and business for a really long time, yet I've never actually described it or shared it in this way. So I am excited and I can't wait. I hope you find it valuable, and let's just go ahead and dive in. So, I actually have some suggestions for preparation, and you can feel free to take your time to pause this and get whatever prepared that you'd like. These are obviously suggestions and things that I like to do when I am taking a class or listening, getting into my own self discovery. So, the distractions we have are, no cell phone around, or at least turn it off. If you live with family, you have other people around, you let them know that you are otherwise engaged. Alpha waves, I like to have those on in the background. So either like you can put it on your phone, or like I made you a Spotify playlist that you have access to, and you can just lower the volume of that. And so you can listen to the alpha waves. It's like an hour track that I offered you, and give that a try and see what you think. Headphones, I always recommend, unless you're by yourself and that's your preference. I have a little workbook for you, and if you want to take notes using that, you don't have to have a purple star pen or pencil, but you can get fancy and have whatever whatever you'd like. Beverage of choice, whatever you want to choose is just fine by me. I like to do a little ritual before I'm about to start something, even if it's something small. Maybe you want to burn, like I just burned Palo Santo, and pulled some crystals towards me. Specifically, I was interested. I mean, these were just the ones on the desk, but specifically, I was interested in my pyrite, because I want to just come and share with you with energy and be here and be clear and want this to be successful. So, anyway, maybe light a candle if you like. I like to light a candle every morning, actually, and now my daughter and I do that together. So every morning that I can. So don't quote me on that every morning. Anyway, choose your spot. Whether that's getting cozy, whether your desk area, corner, closet, bathroom, wherever your environment is like, something that is comfortable for you, and snack if you so choose. So again, maybe you want to pause this and get ready, and then keep going. So let's make sure you are in the right class, that this is a fit for you. I couldn't choose between these two memes. And I do recommend looking at the one on the bottom because it has like a lot of like social media things. I didn't even know that I knew that they were out there, like viral, from viral memes. Anyway, so I want to make sure you're in the right class. No one likes to show up to the wrong class. And so you are in the right place if you are a holistic practitioner, a life coach, a yoga teacher, and you incorporate chakra work. You're already incorporated into your practice with children, and you want to make that the best as possible, always looking for something new to learn and to improve your practice. You may be a spiritual entrepreneur and you are creating, or you want to create, you're inspired to create a chakra based offering for kids. Maybe you've been working with chakras for a long time with adults, like maybe you're a Reiki practitioner, or something like that, and now you want to expand to working with children or sharing the chakra system with children. Maybe the chakras just changed your life. Like I'll share a little bit about how they changed mine. That's something common that I experience or learn when I discuss about chakras with people. That a lot of people have like a heart connection to it. Like it's something that is very transformational in their life. So, and when you do have that, what Andrew Harvey actually calls it sacred activism, which I think is such a beautiful term. That you have this activism to share it, to do something to help and to change if something has changed your life and you have a heart mission towards it. Or maybe you're just interested in the chakra system, you don't know that much about it. Maybe you're just drawn to it really intuitively. And you're interested in it and you want to like learn how best to apply that with working with children. Okay, here is what we will be talking about today and what you will learn. So, I have my approach essentially, my approach to chakras, my unique approach is essentially that I apply progressive education principles to the most relevant aspects to the modern chakra system, the most relevant aspects of them for children today. And so I'll be sharing the ones I've found to be the most potent and most powerful, most useful to my practice, and examples of how they can apply to you teaching the chakra system. So we'll talk about, you'll have a chance to learn how to organize yourself and your plan and your mindset so that you're sharing in ways that are aligned with your clients and students' learning style and so you can maximize their learning. You will learn how to communicate in ways that increase inclusivity of sharing responses and increase feelings of safety to express full spectrum of emotions, as well as how to avoid typically indirectly sending an indirect message that there's this one specific or right way to answer the question, and that can then close off the possibilities for what the child may want to share, be able to share, feel comfortable sharing. We will also talk about, I'll be sharing ideas or ways for you to break through any conditioning around sharing emotions. That's often where children who are resistant to working with a healer or a therapist or a coach can have resistance around talking about challenging topics, discussing negative emotion. Even if that conditioning is like inherited, or what I've just learned from my therapist is epigenetic. So we can actually like inherent trauma and conditioning, so that the children that are coming to you may not even personally have their own conditioning around this. It may be their parents. It may be something that's from lifetimes or generations ago. And so, what I'll be sharing is going to support you in clearing the space, clearing the channel for that resistance, so you can naturally create a space where a child feels comfortable and it's normal to share emotions and to talk about those things. I'll also be sharing some tools in progressive education. It's called authentic assessment. So, what to look for evaluating your success, for evaluating if the child is learning, and then also what not to what not to focus on. Which can typically generally be what we had been taught to focus on when we were students. It can be conditioned to look at something like grades or something like that. So we'll get into that, and also to stay in a space of connection to your purpose, to your intuition throughout the whole session. So if you're in any of these practices, if you're already here listening, you I feel like I feel confident in saying that everybody listening to this has a heart-centered connection to what they're doing. They connect in a space that's like outside of time and space, in a space of intuition, in a space of, if you call it 3D, if you call it whatever you call it, if you call it 5D, whatever you call it, and that what I'm sharing today is going to support you in helping stay connected to that, helping stay connected to remember what matters, because we can continuously be pulled out of that. And the longer we stay in that heart space, our heart to their heart, that's the more impact we're going to make, the more impact we're going to make, connection we're going to make, and the more impact we're going to make overall, and then within the individual sessions. Um, and then I'm also going to share, I like to keep things super positive. So it's not about judging or negating certain approaches or perspectives, but it is about determining the best ways to package and to share something, the best approaches that are going to most align with children today, with their needs, with their lifestyle. And so I'm going to share a perspective that I believe that you should not be using and that you would want to avoid if you want to be really relevant to children's lives today. So the things that you're learning today will benefit you and your clients in a variety of ways. They naturally amplify the most powerful aspects of the chakra system. There's a lot of alignment between the theories of progressive education, the foundations of progressive education, and what is so wonderful about the chakra system for children. So everything you're going to learn is going to naturally amplify what you're already doing, and any chakra work that you're doing with kids. It's going to help children learn on deeper and more complex levels, help children learn to heal and grow more quickly, more effectively, and more potently. It's going to help make your approach inclusive to even more kinds of children, all kinds of children, learning styles, personalities, intelligence styles. You're going to be supported in further removing old conditioning, of the stigma around emotions, again, whether that's inherited or something that's coming from them. And you are going to have more fun with your work. You have a heart mission. Your mission is soul led. You have a purpose for what you're doing to help create change, and that's where I want to support you in staying in that space as much as possible, and having fun, and also healing your inner child. That's going to occur naturally throughout along the way. Okay, so this masterclass and my approach overall isn't going to be a fit for you if you're looking for more of like a scripted or specific step-by-step definition of the chakras and how you can teach them to children. I have, if you're interested in that, I have free YouTube videos, my podcast, that is out there for you, that I'm sharing, that other people have also contributed to. So that's out there, if you want those things. I even have an Intro to Chakras lesson plan, and all different kinds of resources. But my free resources are enough to definitely offer you whether a scripted definition, and or to support you in creating your own. So that's not what this masterclass is about, is a how to teach chakras step by step. um, it is not going to be for you if you are not interested in progressive learning approaches. You don't need to, that's a whole huge area. You don't need to even know like what's included in that. But largely, what came up for me to share it is that it's very student centered. And it doesn't use a traditional form of assessment or evaluation. The curriculum design isn't focused around gaining definitions, and offering your knowledge, or showing that you know something in a traditional kind of way, whether through like a printed test or like in a graded kind of situation where there's more of a suggested or agreed upon one right answer. So if that is the approach that many of us are used to that, like, probably most of us are used to that or familiar with that, but that's not, if you're interested in staying in that space, that's these tips and tools, these what I'm going to be sharing is going to be useful for you. Um, and so this also isn't a class for you. My approach is really any yeah, my approach in general and this masterclass specifically is not for you if you aren't open to diving more deeply into your own self-discovery, and connecting with your inner child, naturally healing it, bringing up different aspects of it, connecting with your inner child. So um, it happens naturally throughout the approach in order to be authentic and to be present, and also I find it intentionally. It's intentionally part of my approach, in that your own attention to self-discovery, self-care, your own relationship with your inner child, that is going to be transmitted to children, whether through your energy, that they're going to be learning from that as well. And so it's an integral part, being open to exploring that and to incorporating that as part of your practice, and part of your teaching style is integral to the approach that I teach. Just a quick overview of my background and how I became interested in chakras and incorporating them into my work with children. So, in college and graduate school is when I studied progressive education and feminist developmental psychology, which you'll see when we go into the different keys. That's really the principles and the backgrounds that I'm applying to the chakra system, and that I'm really giving you kind of like a mini mini masters, as our master class cover it, like of progressive education um, as it's applied to teaching the chakras to children. So I had been teaching enrichment and gifted education, public education. The topics, it never appealed to me. No one ever wanted to hire me. So I was too out of the box. But I found in gifted education that that there was opportunity to teach these topics of social emotional intelligence, creative thinking, philosophical thinking. And so that's where I really started. Um, to explore, and really apply my experience, my studies in progressive education. And then I started to study counseling, and in there I found pockets of like play therapy and sand therapy. So things that really expanded opportunities for children and that were inclusive to as many children as possible. And so when I learned about the chakra system, incorporated it into my practice, it basically saved my life. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go into all that right now. So it's a little bit of a tangent, but I was also then immediately drawn to the accessibility of it for myself and my own self development, and how um, just kind of right on point it could be. How just organic, you're here listening to this, whether you're intuitively drawn to it or as obsessed with chakras as I am, like you understand how holistically accessible it is and how supportive it is. So it helped me change my life, and I realized that the depth of it, but also the depth of it, but then the simplicity of the potential of breaking down the concepts could benefit the kids that been working with, the kids that I had been studying with. And so I realized that I could adapt it in a way that it would also be this perfect model of personal growth for kids. And then I started sharing it with more and more kids in different ways, and just realized how people gravitated towards it, realized how many pathways there are for different people to and different kinds of styles, different kinds of personalities, energies, learning needs, all different. um, backgrounds, how there's all these different pathways for people to connect with it and make meaning of it. So I became really obsessed with studying it for myself, learning about it, and then exploring ways like how can I apply this to teaching kids, and specifically the characters as a way to help transmit the wisdom. So, a couple of things to keep in mind as you begin to listen. Left brain thinking is not your bestie here. I know you have notes and you're going to be gathering new information, um, but it's not about gathering that information and knowledge just to know things or become some kind of chakra expert or child development expert. It's about gaining some new perspectives so you're able to teach what you already know from within, and you're able to teach and connect from a place of your intuition, and you're able to channel or transmit your unique knowledge and gifts in the most potent way possible. So, connect through your right brain and your intuition first, and as that being the priority. There are so many benefits already inherent in the chakra system. That's why we're using it. That's why you're interested in it. That's why I use it. That's why my whole business is centered around it. That's why we're here. So it's not about me teaching you new things about the chakra system or new ways to explain the chakra system. What you really need to do, and what this is about, is learning things that are going to help you maintain the integrity of the power of the system, maintain the positive aspects of it that you are interested in transmitting in the first place. It's going to support you in mastering how you share the chakra system in a way that's aligned with children today, how you can clear the path. For their understanding, for the transmission of it between you and your client, and as much flow as possible with with the least resistance possible. So, 5 keys to the best session ever, every time. So, I wanted to mention that when I share best session ever, every time, I don't know why I just thought of like, in the pizza boxes that or they all say they say like best pizza ever, but they're like everybody has those pizza boxes. So the the best session ever every time, it isn't like just some like kitschy marketing thing I tried to to come up with. It really is based around the concept that or from the belief that possibilities are infinite, and it's possible for things to get better and better and better. And so the idea is that with what you're learning, with what you're applying, it gives you the opportunity to have the best session ever. So then every time it keeps getting better and better and better. So, what are these 5 keys? Key number 1, having a semi structured plan. Key number 2 is increasing the inclusivity of your communication. Key number 3 is to normalize the full spectrum of emotions. Key number 4 is authentic assessment. And key number 5 is have fun. So let's dive in, and I will explain what all of these are and share a little bit more about them and how you can apply them to your practice. So, key number 1 is having a semi structured plan. So, the idea with the semi structured plan came out of my work on a research team in graduate school, where the intention was to gather information about children's experiences and friendships and in life, and have it structured in a way that there's organization, that you're still meeting objectives, but that is also open to going with the flow of what is interesting to that child, where they're what they're sharing in their what they're interested in sharing. And so the way that you would apply this to a lesson plan or to a session, to a workshop structure, is having a focus on non attachment to that plan. So if you study yoga, you can tap into the concept of aparigraha, a concept of non attachment. So you a non attachment specifically in this case to previously defined objectives that you might have, even if those objectives are based around your knowledge of this specific individual child. And so instead, what you're going to want to focus on is observation and attunement. And that's going to help keep you on that path of heart, keep you paying attention to what matters and not your outside defined 3D objectives that you're attempting. It's not that those are not valuable. That's the idea, semi-structured. So you have an intention to share what you're intending to share, with the overall the priority is to go with the flow of the child. So the idea here is that the reason for this is so you can share the most in ways that are the most direct, the most powerfully aligned with the child, your specific client's unique style, their learning style, their the way that they best take in knowledge. So everything that you teach, the simplest way is just your intention, has to come from the what is it going to do for them? Why do they care? Why would they care to hear what I'm sharing? How is it going to be valuable to them? So, an example of how this could look in practice. So, say that you have this wonderful client session planned and you've been working with this specific client, and you are now, you're on the solar plexus chakra and you have all these ideas, and you created this lesson plan with um, the intentions, with experience of like what they liked in the previous two sessions, and you have this thing, and you're going to help them understand what it feels like when the chakra's balanced and when it's not balanced, and you're going to help them learn where the chakra is located, and you have all these different objectives and things that you intend that you would like them to learn. And then you get into teaching it, and the child's really, really interested like in pride and things that they're proud of, and sharing with you times that they've taken risks, um, and they really want to talk about the accomplishments that they've had, and they're excited about that, and they're excited about the chance to build their confidence so they can learn something new, right? And you have in your mind these objectives that they're going to those are nice, and also this child really needs help with their anger, and this is a perfect opportunity, and it's for the we want to learn about anger, have it plans. And so it's not that you're abandoning the goal is not, or the intention is not, or the approach is not to abandon your plan. You still can keep that intention. You can still incorporate it within what you're doing. You can intend to continue on with it and follow up with it. Yet, what you really want to stay focused on here is the flow of what is interesting to the child, where their energy at, where their engagement is, where their motivation is, and allow that to direct you. Even if you're then going to come to the end of the session and you didn't complete, objective this, and this on your lesson plan. So, what is happening for the student in the moment is the priority, and attuning to that, going with the flow of that, is what's going to best support their growth, not even your most perfectly planned, intentionally tailored lesson plan. So, what happens when you don't do this? When you don't do this, then children will get the idea that there is this one certain type of learning um, that's the best. That there are certain things, takeaways. That there are certain objectives that are better than others. And that the meeting of those objectives is more valuable, is what's important or reigns supreme over their understanding, their interests, what they care about. And then, especially, what can be the most dangerous is the idea that they get is that what they're interested in is something wrong or incorrect, and then that can lead to even further closing down. So the next, because progress is infinite, right? And we're talking about the potential that this can keep getting better, things keep getting better and better and better. And so I want to share within each of these keys, um, like where you could take it next. Where would you go next with this if you wanted to amplify this even more? And so the next level of this would be, or where you could take this even further, even deeper, is to learn about children's individual learning styles, whether that's different multiple intelligences, like certain children excel in areas of socializing and learning, connecting with other people. Others are very visual. Others learn best when there's an application to nature involved, and so on. There's also differences in the sense of whether somebody learns visually or through movement, through kinesthetically. And so the more that you learn about those different kinds of styles, the more that then you can see, you see them when you observe them in children, and then you can tailor according to that. But the takeaway here for this key is really that attunement and observation are more important to guide your flow than some preset objectives that you may have had or that you have had. Key number two is inclusive communication. So, the intention here is how you can create a safe space for all kinds of emotions and all kinds of answers to be acceptable. Then help children instead get the message that they can learn in the way that's the perfect fit for them, and that there's no barriers to the pathways that they can learn, and if they don't have to hide anything specific. They don't have to learn like these are the things I'm not supposed to share, and so therefore I'll learn to hide them. So an example of how this can look in practice is if you are discussing the topic of the emotion of anger with a child, instead of asking, do you ever feel angry? Are you ever angry? And so the response to that is either yes or no. With this unspoken or suggested, like correct response, that the answer is no. Otherwise, you have to admit that you have an experience or a feeling of anger, which could potentially be negative or not good. So the way that you would phrase that would be, when are some times that you feel angry? When are some times that you have felt angry? So it's inclusive to, if they have never experienced anger, then they have the opportunity to share that. It also opens the door for, is built in with the inherent assumption that it's normal to feel angry. So it normalizes the emotion and makes it more safe to answer in that way. When you don't do this and you're sharing that, you're sending this indirect message that there is this one right answer, and the answer would be no, or whatever would be that favorable, good way to be um, in the yes or no, in a binary. So, if you were going to take a next step with this, you wanted to take the next step to make your communication, make your space feel, make it even more of an inclusive, safe space to share and communicate and learn in ways that are best for you, ways that are best for the child. You could start to learn about not just. Learning about learning styles would help. Learning about multiple intelligences can be especially helpful, and to be open-ended and to be experienced as non-dualistic. So again, you're not suggesting that there's this one correct answer, and you're leaving the door open for more expansiveness of responses, more expansiveness of response, and more authentic response. Now, key number 3 is to normalize the full spectrum of emotions. So, being intentional about when and how you share and bring up difficult topics, challenging emotions, and anything that may still have some old conditioning attached to it, whether it's theirs or inherited, that would create some resistance around wanting to, around feeling safe to discuss. So you can break through any of that old conditioning or inherited conditioning around stigma around having challenging emotions or discussing negative emotions. So, one way to do this is to share at the top of the wave. I like to say, like in a yoga flow. So, if you've taken a yoga class before that, you start out warming up and you build up to whatever the most intense pose would be. And then you do your lying down poses and you end with Shavasana, right? And so I use that kind of wave model to intentionally build up to then the peak pose would be that sharing of discussing something about a challenging emotion. So let's just stick with this example of talking about the solar plexus chakra. So you wouldn't just be starting out saying, when do you feel angry? You would talk about the connection to fire and building it up and getting energy to create and to reach goals. And you flow into it. Then the fire can get really intense. And what happens when fire gets too intense? And what are some ways, it can come out in the form of anger? What are some ways that you feel angry? So you're flowing in, and then it's as organic as any of the other things that you're sharing. So it doesn't stand out as really anything more. So it's in flow with everything that you're talking about, and then you don't leave it there. There's an intention to bring it back to to the things that can calm anger and how you can redirect that energy, and so on from there. So if you aren't intentional about when you share difficult and challenging emotions, what you risk the chance of doing is for the child to not be open to it, to not be ready to discuss it, and therefore not be open to it. And then what can even further happen is have resistance to trying it in the future, discussing it in the future. And so, and then you have to cross that barrier. So the analogy I like to use is that you like went to some yoga class, and then the moment you got there, they started teaching you handstands, or they started doing handstands as like the first pose that you do. That's not gonna, um, it's not going to be a fit your butt. It's not going to be a fit physically, and your mindset isn't going to be prepared for that. And so same kind of idea here. So the overall idea, if you're going to take this to the next level, is that the intention is to normalize all kinds of emotions, the full spectrum of emotions on as much as possible and on as many levels as possible. So that's why I have the characters, and it's built into the character that they have something that they struggle with, and that they all have a shadow emotion that they deal with. So it normalizes it, for that just exists. It's just part of them. It's discussed in the same way as all other aspects of their personality, as the same way as the strength. So it's normalizing it that way. So the way that I'll do that with in like a good curriculum guide, for example, is to begin with exploration and discovering with the characters, introducing you, taking you on, setting the whole thing as it's a journey, it's a fun adventure, we're going to camp, and then I build it up into it that by the time that you're asking about, stick with our solar plexus. So in the inner resilience and confidence um, curriculum guide that I have, that I created for the solar plexus chakra, that by the time it's discussing what are some ways that you're angry and what are some things that you can do to manage that anger, to calm that anger, you're already in the flow of it. You're already connected with the benefits of it. You're already motivated to learn about this, to engage with this, to see. You already get the sense of how learning about your solar plexus can be fun and can benefit you. So it's not this now there's something wrong with you, let's discuss your anger. It's part of the experience. And then again, there's this intention through the curriculum guide in a similar way as a yoga class um, to tie it up with like reflection, and how are you then going to apply this knowledge, so there's a natural flow to it. Key number 4 is authentic assessment. That is a fancy term in progressive education, that's simply describing an approach to assessment that is more authentic, more organic, that is based around using evaluating success in children and evaluating their learning and understanding by the application, by their engagement, by what they're able to create, and where they're able to take the information, what they're able to create and apply it, create with it and apply it to, as opposed to recalling information about it, recalling different abstract facts, and things like that. So when you measure success through their internal motivation, through their application of the understanding, through their ability to apply whatever tools and learning into their lives in a way that are relevant for them and they're going to support them, it also supports higher level and depth of thinking. So not just through behavioral or what answers can be produced on a test, or one right way to learn something, um, or one right way to process something. They are going to have a chance to learn in ways that are best for them, which is better for long-term integration of learning. They're not going to have to compromise anything. They have the best potential for success, so they can learn and grow on deeper, more complex levels. and then expand their possibilities and their dreams and the ripple effect that they have to others, and etc. and so on. An example of this would be, so let's go back to that example that you had this perfectly planned out solar plexus chakra session. And your intention was that by the end of this session, the child is going to know the Sanskrit name for um, the solar plexus chakra. They were going to know where it was. They were going to be able to explain to you. They were going to know different ways that you could, that you would know if the chakra was imbalanced and ways that you would know was balanced, right? So you had all these intentions, right? And you you're at the end of the session, you have the session that seems like it's going well, and you're at the end of the session and you ask the child, so how do you know if your solar plexus chakra is out of balance? Okay. And they just, it's like blank. They don't, it's like as if you didn't, they don't remember. And the tendency with that can be to associate with your own self. Our ego gets involved. We start questioning, like, okay, I didn't meet my objectives. I'm not teaching them. They didn't learn what I was trying to teach them. Yet, the same time that they're in the same conversation where you've asked them, they have no idea how to describe to you how their chakra um, how to know if their solar plexus chakra is in balance. But but then you hear them. Their parent comes to pick them up, and you hear them describing to the parent how excited they are to use their power center and their power energy to help them feel courageous to try this new skateboarding trick that they've been wanting to try, but they've been afraid. Or they're leaving and they're describing to their parent, or they're telling you how excited they are to go home and make this power playlist that they're going to listen to when they need courage and when they want to feel confident about themselves. So that is that's the authentic assessment. That's the measure of that they have been successful. That's what you want to look for to show you that they are learning what you're intending for them, not if they can recall facts that have no connection to them and their relevance of their life. So if you hear the latter, you're stoked. I mean, if they remember it, that's cool. It's not that that's not valuable. It's not that you may not try to continue to follow up with that learning, but it has to be connected to them, and that's what you should be using as your measure of success and where you're taking things. Where would you go next with this? So this is about authentic assessment, figuring out what are the best ways to determine to evaluate and assess if the student is learning what you're intending for them to learn. Um, they're learning in a way that they can apply it and that there's long-term integration. So more again, whether it's that you're learning more about the qualities and the needs of children with different multiple intelligences, different learning styles, different energies like highly sensitive or starseed, something like that. And what happens when you don't do this, when you don't measure success through these means, then that you're sending again that well, direct message that there's a specific way, a specific process, and a specific format that's the best way to share your knowledge and show that you know something, and that if you don't, then there's something wrong with you, then that you're in it's a disadvantage. Okay, and the fifth key is to have fun. I tried to come up with, I tried to come up with some, more official name for it, but it really, that's what it is. That's what's important here. To let it be fun, to allow yourself joy, to use that as the guiding thread throughout everything that you're doing, through the intention you have, through your presence in the session, and for also what you're um, looking for the child to experience. And so what this does, other than we deserve, your clients, we all deserve to have fun and to experience joy just for its own sake. There doesn't have to be some rationale for that to be a priority. Um, what it's doing is helping children understand through practice that everything is interconnected, that the light and the dark, the good and the bad, the fun and the challenging, that it can all occur together, that there's not, you don't go to this like other place to deal with your problems or to explore bad parts of yourself. Um, but that it's all together and it's all to be experienced together, and nothing needs to be hidden. You'll also be sharing the message that things are allowed to be fun, and again, that the priority can be joy for its own sake, and following that a worthy goal is to follow joy and love, and that can be your intention and your purpose. So an example of how this looks in practice, this one is pretty, I mean, the chakra system is perfect for us here. So you want to be using play as much as possible. You want to be laughing, using humor and fun as much as possible. You can pull, that's you pull in the colors, music, spirit animals. There's so many different fun pathways and ways that teaching the chakras can be really fun, and engaging. And so yeah, that's why I use the characters. So any way that you can bring play into the situation, it's not only expanding the pathways for them to build their toolkit and find what's going to really light them up, but it's also play supports learning integration. It supports mental health. It supports internal motivation. So when you don't do this, then you, I mean, you're kind of we're sharing the chakra system as a way to have a holistic system that has an integrated shadow, um, that everything is interconnected, that things are allowed to be joyful, and full spectrum. And so when you don't let yourself have fun or let that be your guiding thread, then that's what message is going to be sent to the children, regardless of the most fun, perfect anything that you could have, I could give you to share. And so letting yourself have joy and fun is really one of the most important keys. And so what the next level of that, like where else would you go? It's not necessarily um, new things, although there's just really endless ways that you can make things fun, explore the chakras. But going more in depth with things, and really just for yourself, always be asking yourself, like, how can I make it more fun? How can I be having more fun? And paying attention to your own joy, as much so as you are um, paying attention to your clients, because it's not one, you deserve it, so it's not selfish regardless. It's also intentionally, it's also going to support your goal of helping um, your client be able to connect with their own joy and follow their own joy. Having a, the any more inner child work you do, having a pre-class ritual where that you're intentionally, bringing in that spirit of fun. Those are all ways you can go deeper. Here's the example I promised of the kind of approach I recommend avoiding when teaching chakras to kids. This is a video from a clip from the Last Airbender. It has millions and millions of views, and when I first saw it, I was so excited. It said, "Here's an approach to chakras from on a kid's cartoon," and then I saw the clip.
The thought chakra is located at the crown of the head. It deals with pure cosmic energy and is blocked by earthly attachment. Meditate on what attaches you to this world. Now, let all of those attachments go. Let them flow down the river, forgotten.
What? Why would I let go of Katara?
So if you listen to the full, if you are interested, you can easily access the full clip online. And it seems pretty good the way they're describing it. It seems like something that a person could be interested in and find interesting in their life is to learn about the chakra system. And then what you see here is what the guru is describing is the a classical approach, a dualistic approach to yoga, where the idea, or the ultimate is that you are going to ascend spiritually to a level to where, you detach from the world, and you're no longer, connected to or really needing or interested in the joys of the joys of the world or the relationships that you have in the world. Um, and if you study yoga, it's not, and if you're from an Eastern background, if you have an Eastern background, if you grew up in an Eastern culture, it may be easier to understand that it's not necessarily, that you're leaving the world, that you're not talking to your friends anymore, that you're completely disconnecting. Yet the way that what I think is highlights here is it's showing that it's not a fit for Western minds to, well, you have to detach from everything spiritual and everything you've come to love. And also, it's going to be really great though, and so it's okay. Like, there's not like a way for our brains to conceive it. And so that's why the tantric based approach, which is inherently non dualistic, is what I recommend. And that you're not teaching the classical aspect of it as solely an energy based practice, because kids today and Western lifestyles really need that holistic mind, body, spirit understanding that's come from the merging of the Eastern and Western approaches that are integrated together. And I want to make sure to mention that this is not about judging your personal approach, the lineage of yoga or chakras that you identify with. It's not about sacrificing that or the intention to ultimately teach that or to incorporate that, but it's about creating the clearest channel for children today to receive the information in a way that's relevant to them, accessible to them, and so they can go and apply it to their lives and be internally motivated to apply it. Okay, so we know that the chakra system is divine and that it's perfect to use as a foundation for teaching kids. If you didn't already know that, if I haven't gotten that across to you, I can tuck your ear off about it even more. But we already know that the chakra system is great. We want to share it with kids. It's a great fit for them. And we know that it can help reach kids and empower them in ways and on levels to which the old paradigm can't. It can and likely has transformed your life. It can transform your business. It can transform the kids that you work with's lives. All of the examples I've shared, they're things you can implement into your practice right now. They'll all power up the transmission of your message, your gifts, and they'll clear the channel for children to receive more clearly and more potently. All of the things I've shared with you will help you dive deeper and ascend higher at every session that you have with children. They'll also help empower your clients more quickly, more easily, more effectively, and they're things that you can continue to build upon and amplify even more and more. These are all things I've been working on applying to my practice with children for over 20 years, and I'm always still learning how to improve it. The potential is infinite, and the levels that you can reach are infinite. I have taken what I've learned to work best over 20 plus years of time, working again with thousands of children's parents, families, guiding other teachers to work with children. These are what I've shared with you are the key elements that I found to make the most difference, the most impact, and then also ensure that we're transmitting the power of the chakra system with as much integrity as possible, with as much potential as so we're giving children the full potential of the power of the chakra system as a framework for their mental health and for their personal development. It's important to remember that you've already discovered the most magical part. We've all been given this gift of the system, the chakra system that's been um, discovered, evolved over time, contributed to over thousands of years across cultures, across backgrounds. That's an interplay of Eastern and Western thought that's offered us this integrated like mind body system and that has been adapted been continued to be adapted to fit modern society even more and more by people like Anna Dea Judith and Cindy Dale. So the fact that you're already, whether listening to this is like your first venture into sharing it with children, you're already on the path to making a profound difference, to contributing to breaking old paradigms and to creating the new earth. So, how can you keep going and take this to the next level? You can apply all of these things that I've shared to creating new curriculum, to designing new workshops, to the way you design your lesson flows and your client sessions, and to any resources you create. I've also shared ideas for the next steps with you. Or you can take a quantum leap in the depths and the heights that you reach, ones that can only come from experience, from trial and error, and that is by using my signature curriculum, Camp Chakra Kids. Camp Chakra Kids is my comprehensive, holistic curriculum that I've created that has all of these elements that I've shared with you and all of the next levels built into its foundation, structure, and organization. It's the easiest, most effective, accessible, relevant, in depth, and playful way to teach chakras to kids. Imagine what it would feel like to expand the impact, to amplify the impact of what you're sharing from your heart, the wisdom of the chakra system that's already there and so powerful, even more clearly, more powerfully, more potently with children. So that helps their heart open even more, that expands their levels of growth, their levels of healing, without having to make anything yourself. I already did all that part for you. And so you can use these, what I created, to just show up and to share your magic and connect through your intuition with children. I've made the licensing program even easier and more affordable to join so I can support you in sharing this work with as many children as possible. If you're interested, click the link in the video description to learn more about the program and everything that's included. Let me know if you have any questions. You pay a lifetime price for full access that includes all new resources I create. You can pay in full or 4 payments. There's a short licensing agreement for you to sign, and then you can explore and get started creating new and fun ideas for your clients and students. And I can't wait to make some magic together.